Innovations Fair 2022, promoting early language, play, and the expanded core curriculum through literacy, presented by Kitty Edstrand, Innovations, Development, and Research Coordinator, and Jessica Matney, Instructional Lead Teacher.
Hi, welcome to the last presentation. I'm Kitty Edstrand, and this is Jessica Matney, Instructional Lead at the ECP. We're here to share a pilot project we've been working on that focuses on promoting early language, play, and the ECC through literacy instruction. Particularly, we used a thematic storybook unit in 2 different classes at the ECP. For both classes, we chose a core book and then planned activities and instruction to address specific concepts, ECC skills through various related experiences, targeted vocabulary, and creating opportunities for modeling play behaviors. We took data before the storybook unit started and then after, so we used pre and post measures through observation and direct testing to measure changes in vocabulary and pretend play during the unit. So I'm going to talk about Classroom 1, and then Jessica will talk about Classroom 2. So Classroom 1 focused on 3 students that were about developmentally 1.5 to 2 years old. We picked the story The Little Red Hen for its use of real objects and ability to kind of create real experiences from it. It was read daily for a month and primarily targeted pretend play skills and vocabulary. During the read aloud, real object props were used and pretend play was modeled on each page. Then the story was acted out with the props again after the reading. Objects and photos and pictures of the vocabulary were paired with the story and embedded throughout the day as appropriate. On this slide here, we have a couple pictures. I have the cover of The Little Red Hen by Byron Barton that we used for the story. Underneath that, I have a picture of a student at circle time with textures added to the book, and then a photograph of the real object, pairing the photograph and the image of the pig in the book. And then another picture of a student picking measuring cups during the bread making activity. So related to this, the related experiences apart from the read aloud were making bread and then various farm animal activities. We have even more data to share. If you're interested, you can email us. But a quick summary of the results showed an increase of at least 80% in pretend play behaviors for all 3 students, and at least a 20% increase in receptive vocabulary with objects. And one student even went from 0 to 40% receptive vocabulary with photos. So we thought those results were pretty powerful. Jessica?
All right. In Classroom 2, we focused on 3 students who were developmentally about 3 to 4 years old. And the story we used was The Little Blue Truck. It was read 5 times over the course of the unit, rather than daily. The story was chosen for target vocabulary and object play. A similar format was followed. We used props, group instruction, acting out target vocabulary words, and then followed that with an activity using props and acting out the story. This included things like sensory experiences where we made the mud and pushing toys through it. Results showed at least a 20% increase in the students' target vocabulary, and each of them more than doubled the number of minutes they spent in pretend play during the 5-minute play observation. The students went from the first baseline experience by leaving the play area to seek out adult partners. And by the final, they were staying in the area the entire 5 minutes and interacting with each other. Their quality of play also increased significantly. One of the unintended outcomes was the increase in initiating and maintaining cooperative social play with others, and that was almost non-existent in the beginning. So on this slide, we have a picture of the Little Blue Truck book. We also have a circle time activity with me pushing my hands against one of the students' hands to act out the push, vocabulary, and target words, as well as a little boy driving a blue truck through chocolate pudding, which is acting out as mud. So, to wrap up, this is an ongoing project we will continue to pursue. This pilot data shows us that thematic unit is a great way to embed individualized targets for students. Additionally, the data support the notion that students with visual impairments need systematic, planned, and repeated instruction that often involves adult modeling and facilitation before they can do it on their own. Thank you.
I can answer questions. Jessica may be on there. Navi asked if we saw any generalized play skills. From my classroom, the behaviors that we taught through the storybook, pretend play behaviors such as like mixing with a bowl and a spoon, and kind of like going through the sequence of baking bread through pretend play and objects, did generalize. There was more play in the kitchen area afterwards, with the kids kind of going in and acting out other cooking activities as well. One of the other things that we found, we didn't show the bar graphs of the data because of the time constraints and description, but the number of objects that kids played with in their pretend play went from 1 or 2 to 6 to 8. So that drastically increased as well when we were looking at pretend play skills.
Innovations Fair 2022, promoting early language, play, and the expanded core curriculum through literacy. For more information, contact Kitty Edstrand, Innovations Development and Research Coordinator, NMS-BVI email, Kitty Edstrand, KITTYEDSTRAND @nmsbvi.k12.nm.us, and Jessica Matney, Instructional Lead Teacher, NMS-BVI email, Jessica Matney, JESSICAMATNEY @nmsbvi.k12.nm.us.